Welcome to this week's edition of Go Green with Sanith. Today we are at the T Avenue at Barnes Place and we're talking to a very inspirational entrepreneur and a green advocate. He's the founder, the managing director of Green Keepers, Mr. Edward Fernando.
Hi,
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi, Sanith.
Hi. So, Edward, before we get to what Green Keepers do, let's talk a little bit about what you used to do. And I know you spent 20 odd years in the corporate sector. You were in travel and aviation. Is that right?
First of all, Sanith, congratulations on this particular program that you have initiated.
Thank you.
And thank you for giving this opportunity. Yes, I spent 20 years of my career in aviation and logistics industry, out of which 7 years I spent at board level, performed well, worked hard, and traveled well as well. Almost touched upon 35 to 40 countries,
Wow.
both on leisure and business. It was exciting industry to be with.
Right.
But then things changed towards 2007.
So tell us a bit about why did you leave? I mean, you were, I think, at 35, you were on a board of a publicly listed company. You're at the peak of your career. You're doing all this wonderful stuff, traveling. What made you give all that up?
The international exposure that I had gave me a couple of observations. Number one was the developed countries were getting ready for the climate change action.
Right, and this is way back in
2000 I'm talking about.
Right.
And then back at home, when I was visiting factories, free trade zones, I saw trucks filled with garbage, industrial waste, at times even thick black smoke.
Right.
And I thought to myself, is there any opportunity to get involved in such a service sector? Because I was trained by leading airlines of the world, started my career with Singapore Airlines. And then one day I decided I will take a U-turn.
Right.
And I quit my employment in year 2007 and conducted a detailed research together with my wife Anne, who also had a background of hospitality industry, and then incorporated Green Keepers in the year 2008 under Section 17 of BOI. And I focused on industrial waste segment because I realized this is an area that people do not talk that much. The most spoken topic is about MSW, or the Municipal Solid Waste Management. So industrial sector was somewhat a hidden area. So I came up with this tough vision for the company, zero waste. And then a mission of let's eco-cycle. I was very particular about coming up with the right vision for the company and the mission. And in the mission, I realized that this is an area that I cannot achieve by ourselves as a company. But you need all the stakeholders to work together.
Sure.
So since then, up to now, we have been a waste management company.
So typically, I mean, when you, as again, waste management is not the municipal solid waste that everybody talks about.
That's right.
You're focusing primarily on industrial waste.
That's right.
What do you do with this waste? Or firstly, let me ask you this. What is this waste? And what makes you think you can do something with it?
When we did the initial research on the industrial waste side, we realized there is a much needed service aspect on the apparel industry. Now, apparel is important to us in several ways. Number one, it's the single most largest industry in the country, generating more than $5 billion to the economy. It is an industry driven by compliance demands by the Western buyers. And at the same time, its volumetric nature has a fire hazard as well as managing such huge volumes in a factory environment. So we focused firstly on the apparel sector. And since there was no technology in recycling here, I thought the best solution is tying up with the global recyclers. And then exporting them under compliance platform. Though textile recycling is new to this part of the world,
Okay.
it began in 1960 in northern Italy. And what we did as a company was, while exporting waste to several countries, we also studied the technology. Our target was not to be a waste exporter for sure, but to bring that technology one day back home and do the recycling ourselves here.
Right.
And I must tell you that there is sizable quantum of textile waste in this country.
Do you have any of these that we can see? Do you have something we can show?
Yeah, this is textile waste. Now these are primarily cotton blends.
Okay, so
And then in the recycling process, you pull back the fibers.
okay.
And then the fibers are converted to yarn.
So this is
This
yarn.
is recycled yarn.
This is recycled yarn.
Yeah.
And what do you make with this?
First of all, the unique process between waste to yarn, there is no water used, there is no chemicals used, and there are no dyes used.
Okay.
So this is 100% environmental friendly, zero waste disposal technology.
So this is recycled yarn.
Yeah.
What can you make from this? What do you make from this?
Recycled yarn has its own applications.
Right.
You can primarily use these yarns for socks manufacturing, glove manufacturing,
Right.
bed sheets, towels in home textiles industries. At the same time, by mixing with virgin cotton in the initial process, you can even make t-shirts, go into the usual apparel applications.
So essentially what you're saying is you're going to take this stuff that people throw away,
Yeah,
make this,
Yeah.
which then makes
of course.
this.
Yeah.
So this is essentially the hallmark of the circular economy.
That's right.
And do you see yourself as playing a role in helping achieve?
Right now, the process, what is taking place is that this material is going out of the country,
Right.
and somebody else overseas is converting this to yarn and selling back to us. In a way, we are supporting the circular economy
Right.
or the closed loop, but
Yeah.
ideally, in order to reduce the carbon footprint, it should happen in one location. Now, I'm very happy to say that this is a concept now being spoken globally,
Right.
mainly by the leading biolabels,
Okay.
both in the West and the East. So there is a discussion going on in terms of closing the loop, etc.
So I know you were in Davos. You were one of the speakers in Davos at the World Economic Forum.
That's right.
And you were invited to speak on this subject.
Right.
What is the feedback you got in Switzerland on this?
My objective of making a presentation at the Global Economic Forum was to attract investments towards Sri Lanka.
Right.
The delegation who traveled from the country spoke of investments related to infrastructure, whereas my presentation was inviting the global investors to look at Sri Lanka in terms of investing into green aspects,
Right.
because there's so much that you can do here on the green sphere.
Right.
But I should say that presentations, my presence over there was very useful, and I've been able to create a platform of foreign investors, including some of the leading biolabels,
Right.
to a discussion which has come to a final stage just before COVID.
Okay.
But I'm hoping to take that discussion forward in the years to come.
And you envision setting up your own recycling plant here?
In terms of the apparel industry, textile waste, that is my vision.
Right.
And I'm sure we are getting there.
You also do other aspects of recycling, and I know you talked about energy from bio waste, is it?
Yeah, just before getting into that topic, Sanith, I would like to say that we are primarily supporting the 4R concept.
Right.
In terms of recycling, we are dealing and managing, servicing the waste aspect on the industrial waste. And then on the reuse side, there's so much of rejected raw material that come from the industry
Okay.
that we currently service. And we are exporting those to reuse markets.
So when you say raw material rejects, what is that?
Fabric, yarn, it can be lace, elastics.
Right. And you take it and you send it across to somebody who's going to use it in something else.
That's right.
So if you didn't do that,
Okay.
what would happen to that? This would get burnt here in Sri Lanka?
I won't say it will get burned, but the manufacturer is going to get stuck without a solution.
Okay.
Now, most of these material are imported to the country by paying foreign exchange.
Right.
In our process, we pay the manufacturer in foreign exchange and export. and earn foreign exchange in return. So we service the recycle aspect of it,
Right.
reuse as well as reduce.
Okay.
We as a CSR aspect go around to schools, factories and speak about recycling, waste management, etc. And doing many projects, making many efforts to help people to reduce their waste and recycle.
Okay.
As well as the fourth R, which just joined within the last 2-3 years, is to reject.
Right.
What we convey to our manufacturers is that if you do not manage your waste as a resource, we will not take it. Because waste has a value as long as you treat that as a resource, not as something for dumping. So you must make sure that zero contamination should be
Right.
maintained for it to have a value in recycling. So we are primarily serving the yarn industry, the fabric industry, the apparel industry, and also rejected garments in export cancellations, QC rejects. We also have markets for reuse as long as those are not brand protected.
Right.
So our servicing of apparel industry happens across the board. Apart from this, the last 10 years, we also have seen the aspect of municipal solid waste management in the country. This has become a huge issue to the country, primarily because of the waste getting mixed.
Right.
And then becoming uncontrollable.
Okay.
We are trying to educate the government sector as well as the private sector that once you segregate the organic component and the synthetic component, that you can take the maximum resource utilization. For instance, we are bringing a technology to the country to convert the organic waste into rich nutrient compost overnight.
Right. So this is food waste.
Food waste, everything can go into
Okay.
this machine, and it operates on a natural microbe.
Right.
Overnight, it converts to compost. And as per the current strategy by the government of making 200,000 metric tons of organic compost in the country and to reduce the importation of synthetic fertilizer, it matches perfectly. At the same time, if you can segregate your synthetic components like plastic, polythene, etc., there is a technology to convert them to biofuel. Now, these technologies we have worked along with our principals for the last 5 to 6 years and hoping to introduce very soon to the country. It's just that we are talking to a few foreign investors to come on board to do this together with us.
So, what do you see as the potential for Sri Lanka in this space? Is there room for us to really grow and achieve all these things that you're saying?
Something that one of my admirers of entrepreneurs across the world is Mr. Richard Branson. Once he said, the environmental threat is an opportunity. So I'm saying, as an island, we have been threatened by various aspects of environmental issues. But I also see this as an opportunity for entrepreneurs to come up and provide solutions. I'm very happy to say, comparing to the years that I started this business model and to now, there are many people who are adding value to this chain of activity. There are a small timers, entrepreneurs, SME guys who have got involved in the chain and facilitating and assisting to reduce waste going into the dump yards. But for it to be successful, this process has to have a size.
Right.
It got to have this capacity
Right.
to solve it. If not, we are going to get into trouble.
This is a great achievement on your part. I have seen some of the awards that you've got at the National Exporter Awards and so forth. So obviously people are recognizing it, and you've been around for this time. Your achievements are substantial. But if there is a single message you want to give out there to the people watching this, to our consumers, what would it be?
First of all, we must make sure that even waste material has to be used in such a way that you make the maximum resource utilization out of it. There are many ways of disposing waste material. You can incinerate, you can landfill, etc. But we should make sure as a country with a smaller population, as an island, to maximize even the little bit of waste that is coming out
Right.
from our system, and to get the maximum utilization.
Okay.
For instance, if you can convert all the synthetic material to biofuel, you can save foreign exchange because we are a fuel importing country. If you convert your organic waste to compost, we are an agricultural based country. All can be used in-house, domestic. That's the strategy of the current government. So this is what we are encouraging. And to the younger generations out there and the people with entrepreneurial skills who are sitting in corporate world, I would like to tell them, get out from those pushy places. There's plenty of opportunities in this country, and that you can add a lot of value.
And we need people like that.
Yeah,
Right?
we need people. You can add a lot of value to the economy, to the environment, and to yourself. Because all the business models that I'm speaking of is revenue generating. That's how we have been contributing foreign exchange to the country for the last 12 years. Winning of National Chamber of Exporters Award twice. Winning the Sustainability Award in Germany out of 9 countries by conceptualizing the best ways of resource utilization. It speaks that our country can do much better.
Fantastic. Edward, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great talking to you. We wish you all the best in the future and good luck in the things to come.
Thank you, Sanith.
And our thanks to our host today, the T Avenue at Barnes Place. Thank you for putting up with us and giving us this space. We look forward to working with you in the future too as well. Thank you very much for joining us, and from all of us here at Go Green, see you next time.
Let's begin.